the chance to watch a musical. One of my favorites is called Newsies, which tells the story of newspaper boys around the turn of the century striking against the powerful Joseph Pulitzer. The Newsies make splits and pirouettes look easy, as they sing and dance their way to victory over the publishing tycoon. Yet, behind these dancing paper boys is something a little less jazzy, but far more important. This is the Newsies mantra: seize the day. This is a well-known translation from the Latin carpe diem, and comes from Odes, a collection of poems written by the Roman lyric poet Horace. It is ironic to find a phrase urging us to live in the present coming from a language so rooted in the past. In actuality, carpe diem is telling us to do something slightly different. Carpe diem is more accurately translated as pluck the day. Horace was not telling us to live in the present, but to learn in it. And it is in this thought where I find that the Latin language and culture have never been more relevant. In a world that is increasingly focused on improving technology, some may question the value and merit of studying such an ancient language. So today, let's pass the study of the Latin language through Rotary's four-way test. First off, is it the truth that studying Latin is important? The answer is a clear yes. Despite its reputation as a dead language, Latin is living and breathing among us every day in modern language, thought, and government. Karen Moores of the Classical Academic Press writes that Latin is not merely a means of communication, but a key to unlock the past. Through the writings of Cicero, Caesar, Livy, and others, we learn so much about the world of ancient Rome, a world that has greatly affected our own. As it turns out, the past is pretty significant, not only because it has shaped who we are today, but also because it can show who we will become tomorrow. Take, for example, the Greek poet Sappho, some of whose works were translated into Latin. Sappho was one of the first prominent lesbian figures in history, acting as a precursor to the gay rights movement nearly 2,000 years later. She even serves as namesake for various LGBTQ organizations today. The influence of the ancients abounds in today's culture, whether that be in a contemporary issue like gay rights or in a Broadway musical. And while known as the language of the past, Latin manifests itself in the present. Now, let's look to the second part of Rotary's four-way test. Does studying Latin teach us to be fair to all concerned? Absolutely. On the walls of my Latin classroom hang the words pietas, fides, and gravitas. These are part of the Mos Maiorum, or the way of the elders. And this way encompasses the core principles and values of ancient Rome, and is part of any Latin curriculum. Students are expected to display the Mos Maiorum in their daily life and in the classroom. Fides is trustworthiness. Pietas is respect towards relationships in a dutiful and needy manner. And gravitas is perseverance in the face of adversity. In my Latin class, whenever translating any piece of text, we work in groups. And in these groups, students are expected to display the Mos Maiorum, and they benefit because of it. Every student's input and unique perspective is given a fair chance, because it is equally important in discovering the true meaning of the Latin text. The third part of Rotary's four-way test asks, does studying Latin build goodwill and better friendships? Yes. Dr. Clad Paver of St. Louis University writes that with Latin, you solidify connections with others who are on the same kind of intellectual and personal journey as you are. I have made some of my best friends from Latin class because it encourages teamwork and connections with others, whether that's through arduous translations or learning new vocabulary. my fellow classmates are able to spread their Latin knowledge to their various interests, whether that be coding, ultimate frisbee, or drama. And in addition to creating friendships, the Latin language also builds goodwill. Recently, the Miramonte Latin program participated in a coin drive to replace a piano at a local convalescent home. And with more community service projects like this planned for the future, the Miramonte Latin program is sure to bring goodwill not just to Orinda, but to the greater Bay Area. Finally, the fourth question of Rotary's tests asks this: will studying Latin be beneficial to all concerned? And the answer is a clear yes. The Iowa Gazette reported in 2014 that 6th grade students that studied Latin for 30 minutes a day for 5 months advanced 9 months in their math solving problem capabilities, 1 month in reading, and 5 months in science. However, the benefits of Latin span beyond the classroom and into the real world. William Cohen, the Secretary of Defense from 1997 to 2001, wrote that it was the spirit contained in Pericles' funeral oration, something he learned in Latin class that allowed him to bring comfort to mourning families on September 11th of 2001. In Latin, students learn where the language has its roots, exposing them to some of the greatest leaders and writers in history. And when students learn what makes a great leader, they become one themselves. My Latin teacher, Magister Davis, is always excited to teach and often uses Latin phrases in his daily life, such as the exclamatory, "for the love of the gods." He takes joy in teaching Latin because he sees the language's ties to both the past and the future, and its influence in shaping who his students eventually become. Studying Latin clearly passes Rotary's 4-way test. We've discovered its presence in our daily lives, its emphasis on fairness, and its ability to create friendships and great leaders. Knowledge is power. And while it is not always easy to accept, it is always important. I plan to continue plucking today by studying Latin because I know that the knowledge I gained from the past can only lead to a better tomorrow. Now that is something to sing and dance about.